Hello everyone and welcome to Transatlantic Watch Party, a movie podcast in which Dan in Canada and myself, Cara, in the UK watch a movie separately and get together to discuss it. And this week we will be discussing 1986's, that's weird to say, Blue Velvet, written and directed by David Lynch, who was nominated for the Best Director Oscar that year.
Beneath the surface of the perfect small town, a dark world awaits.
Are you the one that found the ear?
You know anything?
Well, one name that keeps coming up is this woman's singer.
I'll bet someone could learn a lot by getting into that woman's apartment.
I don't know if you're a detective or a pervert.
Well, it's for me to know and you to find out.
What are you doing in my apartment?
I close my eyes. Then
Are you a bad boy?
Hey! Who is this?
You're
like me. Don't be a good neighbor to her.
I'll send you straight to her! I love you! Love me!
I talk to you.
Ready or not, here I come. Here's to an interesting experience, huh?
I'll drink to that.
College student Jeffrey Beaumont returns home after his father has a stroke. Is that what happened? I wasn't clear on what happened to his father. What he discovers a severed ear in an abandoned field, Beaumont teams up with detective's daughter, Sandy Williams, to solve the mystery. They believe beautiful lounge singer Dorothy Valens may be connected with the case. And Beaumont finds himself becoming drawn into her dark, twisted world where he encounters sexually depraved psychopath Frank Booth. That's about pretty much what. Although it's just depraved, I wouldn't say specifically sexually. It's just all kinds of ways that he is.
Yeah, but it is, Frank is definitely one of his biggest things is being sexually depraved, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And no, I did not know he'd had a stroke. And you'll see when you get to my rundown that I've written for us that I very much do not call it a stroke.
Okay. Interesting.
Who's in the film, Dan?
Well, of course, we have Kyle MacLachlan as Jeffrey Beaumont, very young Kyle MacLachlan, and Isabella Rossellini as Dorothy Valens. I wonder if this was I should have looked this up mid thing. I'm gonna do it right now. When was Dune? Was this before or after Dune?
It was after Dune.
After Dune. Okay.
Dune. Yeah.
This would have been their second film together then, right? Dune would have been their first.
Yes.
So,
apparently, I read he wanted Val Kilmer for this.
oh, interesting.
But he went in the Val Kilmer read the original script and went, "This is pornography, and I don't want to do it." And Kyle MacLachlan was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it. I need a job." And then when Val Kilmer saw it, he was like, "Huh, not porn."
But I can see how it come across that way in the script, right? Okay, Isabella Rossellini as Dorothy Valens, and then George Dickerson as Detective Williams, who played. Oh, sorry, you go ahead. Go into the next one.
We have Dennis Hopper as Frank Booth, Laura Dern as Sandy Williams, and Dean Stockwell as Ben, who is my favorite thing in it.
Oh, is he okay? I was wondering why you singled him out, because there's a few other guys that have probably just as much screen time as him. You could like Brad Dourif or what's his name? The guy who's always Jack Nance, who's always in David Lynch's movies. There's kind of a gang of them, but Dean Stockwell, and of course also was in Dune, so maybe that was coming out of that Dune situation. He's like, yeah, you should be in this too.
Well, also Dean Stockwell for me is Quantum Leap, so I'm interested in Dean Stockwell. I was going to say we have bonus Brad Dourif because I think Brad Dourif is an incredible actor. I think his performance in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is one of the greatest of all times. And I was going to say him, but Dean Stockwell just has just that one scene, and he is so prominent Brad Dourif is sort of in the background of a lot of it and has little moments, but Dean Stockwell is definitely important. That's why I picked him out.
That's good. Very good. Okay. And so overall thoughts, what did you think of the movie?
It's not for me.
Okay, fair enough.
This is the second time I've seen it. I told you last week I'd seen 3 David Lynch films. I lied because I've seen June and I've forgotten that was David Lynch. So I've seen June, I've seen this twice now. I've seen Mulholland Drive and I've seen Inland Empire. Mulholland Drive is actually probably the one I disliked the least. Inland Empire, I felt myself aging and I detested it.
Oh, okay. It's funny, that one came up after I finished watching this. I watched this movie on Tubi, and that popped up. I guess they have a few David Lynch films in their catalog. I haven't seen that one yet. I have seen Mulholland Drive, but have you seen Twin Peaks, I guess is the question. That was his most famous TV series.
No, and I think I said to you last week, I love this theme tune. Love this Twin Peaks theme tune, one of my favorite songs. But I really don't think it's going to be my thing, and so I haven't tried it.
Well, considering if you think this movie is not your thing, then I agree with that, because this is kind of like early baby Twin Peaks. It's kind of like, this is like, you can see the foundation of Twin Peaks in this movie. There are a lot of elements here that he continues to work with. You have a small town, you have a young daughter, teenage daughter with a father in authority. You have logs, lumber, lots of that kind of stuff in Twin Peaks as well. So like the name of the town is Lumberville, lumber something.
Lumberton.
So it does seem like he was beginning to work out things in Twin Peaks here, and he just kind of did it here and then continued. It is a similar type of story, although way weirder. Twin Peaks gets way weirder. But I liked it. I liked it because it is like Twin Peaks, and I really love Twin Peaks like that. And that's something I had to come around to. I used to not like David Lynch. I used to think he was just weird for the sake of being weird and didn't really understand any of it. But I came around on Twin Peaks, both series, like when he came back and did The Return, but 10 years ago, whenever that was really good as well. And this is just kind of more of that to me. So I liked it. I thought it was good.
I'm glad. There are things about it that I think are brilliant. He has a tendency to shoot things like there is still life. You get these beautiful, when they arrive at what was called in the Wikipedia plot rundown, the brothel, and I hadn't really got where Ben is. I was like, that's a brothel. If it is, it didn't twig for me. I didn't get that at all. But you just get these beautiful, sort of beautifully lit, like angle poised lamps, and lush wall colors and stuff. And it's not beautiful, but it's fascinating, and I really enjoy those moments. I just didn't care about any of the people, so I just couldn't be invested in anybody.
Not great character development. I think that's always a bit of an issue with his films, because you're so like trying to take in all in everything else, and it just doesn't have a lot of time to spend on developing these people, right? And letting
and I think that's maybe, and I'm saying that Mulholland Drive is the one I like the most. I don't really remember much about it, but I remember the feeling of it. And it was dreamy and sort of, and I studied performance art at university. So I know about weird shit. Do you know what I mean? Like on stage and stuff. And something in Mulholland Drive felt very performance arty to me. This felt like it was a film noir detective that forgot to tell us why things were happening. And like, I don't need to be spoon-fed a plot. That's fine. I'm capable. But it did feel like there were things missing. And this is the screenshot I was telling you. I was looking on the IMDb trivia. It was understood in the script, though not final film, that Frank's kidnapping of Don Valens, Dorothy's husband, resulted from drug trafficking. Don had been a dealer who tried to go clean and became a police informant, so his former traffickers called in Frank as a criminal enforcer. But that's not, they obviously had an idea for this depth of plot, and then they went, do you know what? Our viewers don't need that. And I kind of did.
Well, I didn't get any of that, and I had made up a completely different thing about what was going on. So maybe that's better. I feel like that. People can kind of figure out what create their own motivations for Frank and whatever he's doing. Like, I certainly did not get that. That was not apparent in any of this. That this had anything to do with drugs.
Yeah.
They spent all their time drinking beer.
No, they spent a lot of time saying the word Heineken. I don't know if they had a deal with Heineken, but my God, they say that word a lot.
David Lynch must like Heineken.
Here's to an interesting experience, huh?
I'll drink to that.
Man, I like Heineken. You like Heineken?
Well, I never really had Heineken before.
You never had Heineken before?
My dad drinks Bud.
King of beers.
Into the ear canal. Jeffy returns home after his father has, you say, a medical emergency because you didn't know it was a stroke. Okay. I'll get to it in a second. He finds a human ear in a field and informs Detective Williams. The detective's daughter, Sandy, tells him that the case may involve the local singer, Dorothy Valens, and he decides to break into her apartment, posing as a pest control to find a way to gain entry later. Oh, yeah. So the father, again, he's just out in his yard and he collapses, but because there's like a hose and the dog is like drinking out of the hose, there's so much going on that you don't know what's actually happening.
He
Right?
grabs his neck.
Yeah.
And I thought, has he been stung? And then it really became catastrophic. And then I was very confused. And there was a baby wandering around. And then we went into the grass where under the ground where the bugs were. And then I was just like, yes, David Lynch, isn't it?
But yes, it was not apparent that was a stroke. But because he owns the local hardware store, Jeffrey comes home to help out. Basically, that's why he's come home to help out. Is run the hardware store. And then how does he meet Sandy again? I don't remember how they.
Well, he's walking home from the hospital and he finds the ear in the field.
Right.
And he does what any normal person would do. He fucking picks it up.
With his hands. Like he finds a little bag, a little like paper bag, and like get a freaking leaf or something and use that. Don't touch that with your hand.
But also, he's putting it in a dirty bag. So, I mean, like, forensics is fucked. Because of what this kid does.
It's also moldy. I don't know why that ear is moldy. Would that happen to a human ear?
Well, speaking in my capacity as I don't know. Also, it has like hair on it. It's got a chunk of hair, and it's very weird. And this is why I called this section "Into the Ear Canal" because we like go through the ear canal at some point, and like it all gets very dark and mysterious. And so he picks up the ear and he takes it to the detective in the police station, and then he wants to like find out what's happening with the investigation. So he goes to their house, and that's when Sandy appears out of the darkness like a goddess.
That was a beautiful shot. I loved it. Yes, because he lives in the area. He says to the detective that he lives nearby, and he's like, "Oh yes, of course." Like they're neighbors, I guess. And then I like the line, "Yes, that's a human ear, all right." The detective says, "That's what that is."
Yeah. It's full of stuff. It's full of stuff like that. It's like I read a review of it, and people were saying like, until this lady's review came out, oh my God, and I've forgotten her name, Paula Cale, maybe, that people just weren't getting the film, and then like her review came out, people were like, oh, but even she was like, don't get me wrong, some things about this are shit, and one of them is she absolutely she talks about the bland functional dialogue, and I'm like, yeah, it's just this.
Yeah, but that's also a Twin Peaks thing. Like, he does that in Twin Peaks on purpose. I think it's deliberate, right? You just want to convey like what is happening and just reinforce. It's funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah, that's what she said in the review. She was like, "Don't like, it's funny. This film is funny." And
It is.
Like, I feel like there's some stuff in there that I don't want to laugh at.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely true. So then, she tells him about the background about the local singer. He just kind of decides he wants to get in there and watch. Like, it's such a weird decision to go from like, oh, this is, you found this ear, this person might be involved, let's go spy on her, let's break into her house, spy. It's a weird kind of jump to make.
Because Sandy says to him, my bedroom is above my dad's office, so I can hear him on the phone. And he's mentioned this woman a number of times. She doesn't specifically say it's to do with this case or why. Like, we don't know why he's mentioning Dorothy's name.
Yeah.
And then he's like, do you know where she lives? And Sandy's like, yeah, of course I do. So they walk down. And hilariously, this film is full of, darkness around the edges. It's very the painting. What's the painting? Experiment with an Air Pump, which is, where they're drawing, or they've got like a dove in a bell jar or something, and they're drawing the oxygen out of it to see like if it can survive without oxygen or whatever they were doing. And the edges of the painting are really dark, because that's what happens when you're deprived of oxygen. It's a fabulous painting. It's also a play. I was in it. That's why I'm obsessed. Oh. And this film is very like that. The everything is dark except for the one thing you need to see. And so they go to where her apartment block is, and she's like, oh, yes, she lives on the 7th floor. And I'm like, there's 3 floors of that building, because it disappears into darkness. And I was like, are there only 3 floors to that building? And I looked it up. No, apparently there are 6. So they just darkened it. So you couldn't tell it didn't have enough floors.
But he wanted it to be the 7th floor, right? The 7th floor is the...
Yeah, I have no idea why. But yes.
Urban number 710 or something like that. And we do see that door a number of times in this movie. So maybe it's important. That number is important somehow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and so then he poses as pest control. So he gets the where does he get it? He gets it from the hardware store. He's got like this little sprayer thing that they guess he's repairing or something. And then so he goes there and pretends to be and I don't know that they would ever do this. Just go in there and spray chemicals all over. Maybe they did do this back in the day around the kitchen for roaches and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the kitchen. Like, it seems like maybe you should cover some stuff. I don't know if you're going to be making. How long do you have to wait before you can make food? There's no information.
She doesn't want to see. All she is concerned about is the smell. She's like, oh, this is new stuff. No smell. It's all good.
Well,
so
it's because, is he even I mean, is it just water?
It's for sure it's water. Yeah, but she doesn't know, right? So anyway, he goes in there, and then while he's in there, someone shows up, right?
The man in the yellow jacket.
Yes, that's right. The guy in the yellow jacket shows up.
Which is a wasp reference. There are many bugs in this film, and a yellow jacket is a wasp. And it's meant to be Sandy. He is expecting the knock on the door to be Sandy, because he's arranged with her that she will
distract her while he goes and looks for. He's going to go and lock a window or something is what he's going to do. And then he ends up just finding the keys hanging on the thing. Like, she's not going to notice the keys missing. And how do you know those are the keys for the thing? And I even wrote that down because he just grabs the keys and leaves. And then when he gets out, he's like, look, I got the keys. And she's like, yeah, if they open the door, because like, who knows what those keys open, right? So he doesn't even know. He just grabs the keys and leaves as this guy comes to distract Dorothy.
Yes, and we don't hear what they're talking about. We don't know what's going on there, but it's obvious that we're meant to notice the man in the yellow jacket. He will be important later. Sandy is clearly the brains of the operation, insofar as immediately she doesn't want to do it. Yes, Sandy, that's smart. Well done. And I just wrote down, fucking kids. What the fuck are they doing? They have no idea what case she's involved with. Just what is happening? What is he even looking for? I was, from the offset, I was like, why are they doing this?
They're Snoopy kids. That's it. They're just Snoopy kids.
Yeah.
Right? And they're just, again, it seems like a very bad idea to pick a person at random and go like spy on them and see what's going on, right?
Yeah. And there is also a very weird moment where Jeffrey says to his mom and his aunt, he's just like, oh, I'm just going out for a walk around or whatever. And she goes, don't go anywhere near Lincoln. And he goes, no. And then it turns out that the apartment is on Lincoln, but that we never hear anything about Lincoln being like the bad side of town or anything. Like, why does his aunt say that to him?
I'm going out for a while.
Do you want the car?
No, I'm just gonna walk around.
All right. Well, Jeffrey, you're not going down by Lincoln, are you?
No, I'm just gonna walk around the neighborhood. Don't worry.
Okay, honey.
This is a Sandy quote I've used here. I don't know if you're a detective or a pervert. Jeffrey and Sandy go to Dorothy's show at the Slow Club before Jeffrey breaks into her apartment using the keys he stole earlier. She returns and finds him hiding in her wardrobe, but makes him hide again when Frank arrives. Jeffrey updates Sandy on his discoveries and becomes involved with Dorothy. Returning to the club, he spots Frank there and follows him. I have obviously missed out the main crux of what happens in this segment, which is a whole bunch of sexual assault.
Yeah.
Including what she does to him. I know it's going to be all like, oh, he seems quite into it, but she is holding a knife to him and making him remove his clothes. And she is older than him. She is obviously a very broken woman, and definitely sexually, because it's very interesting that she says to him, don't look at me. And then when Frank arrives and sexually assaults her, it's one of the things he repeatedly screams at her. Like, she is taking what is happening to her and replaying it on Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And it's so disturbing. And all the while, Frank is huffing his whatever the hell it is. It was meant to be helium, apparently, but he changed it to... Dennis Hopper suggested it be something else, which just heightens your experience. And he's huffing that, and he wants her to call him daddy, but she's his mommy, and it's all very like incestually confused. And he's screaming and going, baby wants titties and whatever he wants. Like, it's so weird and violent and horrible and excruciatingly laughable.
Yeah, I was wondering if this is like Dennis Hopper improving this stuff, or how much of this was actually scripted. Because it does seem like weird, like, and not just in this scene, in later scenes as well, where he just does these things that I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to act like a child, but also be a dangerous man or something like that. Like, it's a very strange choice. Now earlier in the scene though, like so she discovers him. She discovers Jeffrey in her closet, and that's why she's freaked out. So I get that. I see a freaking guy in her closet. What are you doing here? And then she just, I think it's like when she's just desperately like making decisions one after the other without actually thinking. He saw her get undressed, so she wants to see him get undressed. So she's like turning it around on him, saying, "No, you get undressed now because you saw me." And so it just goes from there. And then she kind of just follows her urge to, like, she's attracted to him. So then she wants to have sex with him. And then Frank shows up.
Yeah. Yes. I would like to make it clear that the way I said that earlier, it made it sound like Jeffrey is an innocent victim in all of this. And he isn't. He is, of course, a man who broke into a woman's home and hid in her fucking closet while she got undressed. There were myriad opportunities when she is, in the bathroom, for him to sneak out of that apartment. Because again, I ask, what is he even looking for?
Right. He doesn't know. He has no idea. He's Snoopy. He wants to find out what's going on. So, and he did not expect this. He did not expect to get involved in whatever the hell is going on here. Because she also gets a phone call. Don't forget, she gets the phone call while he's in the closet, and it's like, what's going on? We can't really tell what's going on. It sounds like someone's in distress at the other side. She's asking about, like, we find out it's her son and her husband or whatever, but you kind of get the feeling like she's being allowed to talk to somebody, right? Like, and she's very upset about the situation. So there's that as well.
It becomes clear that there is a kidnapping situation going on.
Yeah.
And that once Frank arrives, Frank, who, by the way, has a pair of scissors. And we learned earlier in the coroner's office that the ear that Jeffrey found had been cut off by a pair of scissors. So immediately we were putting things together in the way that Jeffrey probably is, if he isn't too busy being turned on by whatever the hell is happening. And he is saying to her, "Stay alive." Like, she is being he's like kidnapped them so that he can use her for sex, and he's holding that over her head. It seems very sexually driven.
It does. And this whole thing seemed like, you said this thing was about drugs or whatever crime stuff. It all seems like this is all BDSM related stuff, right? This is like she likes to be hit during sex. She asks Jeffrey to hit her. I don't know if it's this scene or later, but she clearly wants to be hit. And whatever he's doing is something. It feels like some kind of messed up role play is what they're trying to do here. So I thought for a while there, I thought the kidnapping was part of it, that wasn't really a kidnapping, and that this whole thing was just a big elaborate role play, including the brothel, whatever you called as the brothel. I thought all those people were also part of it, in that Frank had something over all these people involved. So I thought this whole thing was just a big sex club.
That's
basically.
genuinely fascinating. I hadn't thought of that at all. From the minute she's on that phone call, I was like, oh, there's a kidnapping. And I went with that being a real thing. And she is being, blackmailed or whatever it is. And also I would like to say, she asks him to hit her. Is that BDSM? It's not BDSM if it is not consensual. So no, it's not. Nobody in that situation is safe. Nobody in that situation has consented to us. He doesn't want to do it. Is she asking just because of her sexual experiences that she's currently going through with Frank? Like she is a broken woman.
Absolutely. Yeah. And really performed by Isabella Rossellini. Like, she's so amazing in this. Really, really well done.
Let me see what else I've got. I don't know if you're a detective or a pervert. And then Sandy says it to him in the car when he's breaking into the apartment. And he goes, that's for me to know and you to find out. And I'm like,
good line. It's a good line. Because he likes her. Like, there's this weird thing going on where clearly is attracted to Dorothy, but he also likes Sandy, right? And Sandy's got a boyfriend too. She's got Mike. Well, we'll get into Mike in a second, but like, she's like, they're kind of hanging out as they work on this together, this mystery. And yeah, but they're starting to develop a relationship and they're starting to like each other. So, and that feels more genuine to me. The thing with Dorothy is just lust, if anything, or just kind of fascination with all this. Whereas I think he genuinely likes Sandy or genuinely loves her, right? That does end up being
there is something of having his cake and eating it about Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And Sandy is like, Dorothy is the femme fatale in this film noir. And Sandy is, the girl you take home to your mom. Yeah. And it's very icky in that way of like, Sandy is the one he will, Dorothy's the one he'll fool around with, but Sandy's the one he's going to marry. Mm-hmm. But right now, he's going to have both.
Yeah. Yeah. He wants to have both. He clearly does. And he's like, Sandy's not going to let him do that. Later on in the film, she gets upset with him.
Yes. And can we just point out that one of the things that did make me go, I rolled my eyes while I was laughing, but it was funny. Sandy says, I will honk the horn 4 times when Dorothy comes home, so you'll know. And then we see him taking a piss in Dorothy's apartment. And I was like, this is so weird. Why are you taking and of course he flushes the toilet just when she's honking the horn.
Yeah. But that kind of stuff happens all the time. Like, I loved that because the whole point of that is to warn him, right? That he has a little bit of a advance warning, and just happens to that happens all the time. When I go to the bathroom, I flush the toilet, I miss something, I don't hear something because it's a loud noise and it covers up everything else. I thought it was brilliant. I'm like, that's so clever to have him miss it that way, and then he duck into the closet. I
just thought, of course he goes in there. It's just needs a piss. Like, it's just so badly organized.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he's not thinking that through.
Yeah. Then when he sees Sandy next, or he calls her so that, to tell her, and she goes, "How did it go?" And he goes, "It went okay. I'll tell you about it." And I was like, it did not, in any understanding that I have of the word, go okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but she can't talk because she's got Mike over, right? So they can't really get into it. Anyway, yeah, that was a funny thing.
Yeah. So yeah, he does. He goes back to the club to watch Dorothy's show again, and he sees Frank there, and he decides that he's going to follow him, and that is when he takes some photos, some sneaky photos of
His
Frank.
cardboard box, his weird cardboard box camera. That was strange. Like he's like pulling the string to take the photo. I'm like, can't you just have a camera and take a photo?
He was pulling the string so obviously. I was like, this is the least subtle surveillance ever.
Today, I saw the yellow man go into Frank's building, laughing with Frank.
Now, the only trouble is, what does that prove?
Nothing really. But it's interesting.
Jeffrey meets Sandy to explain all that he has discovered, and they kiss. But Jeffrey returns to Dorothy, where she encourages him to hit her during sex. Do they actually have sex?
Well, we don't see it, but
they wake up the next morning. Yeah, he wakes up the next morning.
It feels like it might be just post-coital.
Okay. Frank catches him leaving the apartment and takes them both to visit Ben, who is holding Dorothy's son. Frank threatens and beats Jeffrey. Yeah, so this, of course, has the moment, that your favorite moment with Dean Stockwell, where he sings. Now, it seems that Frank likes two songs. He likes Blue Velvet, which he likes Dorothy to sing at the club. And what was the name of the other song?
I walk with you in dreams. Something about it's a Roy Orbison song.
Something about a Sandman. I should have known.
Oh, the candy-colored clown with the Sandman, blah blah blah. But
he's the candy-colored clown, and that's when they put the music on. So he likes that. I think that's what it is. I don't know.
It's called In Dreams.
Okay. So anyway, this is they show up there, and it's a very weird. They're all kind of standing there. This is again very David Lynch, where they're all just standing there against the wall, looking straight on to the camera, and then they show up, and Dean Stockwell starts. Oh, first we let Dorothy see. She goes into a door into another room, so we don't actually see her. And again, I'm sitting there going, is there really a kid in there? Is this all just some big elaborate weird thing? Is the kid really like a monkey or something? It's something really weird. Like, I didn't know. I did not at that moment. I'm not thinking there's really a child in there that's being held or whatever. Like, it's all kind of left to the imagination, right?
And I was thinking, is it the kid and the husband? Because of course we know Jeffrey finds the birth certificate. No, not the birth certificate. Sorry, the marriage certificate.
Right.
And she's married to a Don. So I didn't realize that the son was also Don, Donnie, as he is. So when she's like, they go, should we let her see Don? I was like, oh, it's her husband. But then it's obvious that she's seeing her kid. But as you say, like, she might not be. But I was all in on that. So
it was real.
If it hadn't been real, they got me good. This whole scene in this is a Lynch I can get on board with, because it's very performance art. You know, Ben holding that light up to his face and lip syncing in his MC from Cabaret kind of makeup, and everyone, like you say, pushed back against the walls and just not responding. It is so performance art, and I love it. And that's why I like Dean Stockwell in this. You know, I like Ben so much. And Frank is this like raging tyrant of a hurricane of like ups. He has a one-man roller coaster, Frank Booth. You know, he's up 1 second and he's down the next. Ben is just this, like, I presume, heavily drugged chill guy. And it's such a brilliant contrast, because you've got the contrast of Frank with everyone else, but like Dorothy and Jeffrey are like normal people. Ben is not a normal person.
No.
And so the way that plays off against each other is that was the most enjoyable bit for me.
Yeah, and Frank, of course, this is where we learn that he likes Pabst Blue Ribbon. He doesn't like Heineken, because he asked Jeffrey what kind of beer he likes. He's a Pabst Blue Ribbon. And then he's like, and then get some of this dialogue. You're like, where are the glasses? They're bringing the glasses. Look, here the glasses are coming. Like, they've got all this thing about the glasses coming out for the beer. And the guy's like, you want me to port? And he's like, of course I want you to port. He's getting all angry, and he's just a big asshole, basically. And that, again, is something that I've noticed in Twin Peaks. There's always a character like this who's just really, it is Bob in a lot of ways. This character is Bob, who is like kind of the central evil character in that series, where he's just like, he does not care about anybody else. He only cares about himself, and he's going to act however he wants and yell, and everyone else loves it. Again, they all like they like it when he bosses them around. So that's what. And then they go out for a ride. They take him. They listen to him. He cuts them off halfway through the song. They take the tape, and then they leave. And they go and they take him off for another joyride. Right?
Yeah, and they get a woman from
Right. Yeah. One of the
Ben's place. Brad Dourif's character picks up a chick, and they're all like cramped. It's like a clown car. You know, they are the candy-colored clowns. And, you know, they all could spill out of the car at any minute. The conversation going back a bit, the conversation that he has with Sandy in the diner, the diner where they meet whenever they kind of want to discuss the case, and every time we see the diner, we see a logging truck drive past, like, you know, and he says to her, he tells her what he's been doing, and he's been following people, and he's been surveilling people, and been taking photographs, and blah blah blah. And she says, you know, you should tell the police. And he says, I can't tell the police because I found this out illegally. And I just wrote down exactly. You're not helping anyone. You're just being nosy.
Yeah,
it was infuriating.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to be concerned about, right? And then eventually he does end up going to the police, and he's like, I'll protect you, da 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 da. And I'm like, what did Sandy? All Sandy did was tell him about it. That's all she did, was let him know about this woman. And then he took it from there and said, let's go spy on her and do all this stuff. So it's really, she did not do anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, who would really get in trouble would be Detective Williams, because he's let his daughter know about a case, and she's, you know, run with it. And so she would get in trouble with her dad. She might not get into terrible trouble with the police, but she might get into terrible trouble with her dad. And yeah, they are just like, just when they're just interfering with stuff and just making stuff worse. I mean, Sandy is just desperately trying to get him to stop. But Jeffrey is this kid who, like, it's that sort of thing when you're at that age and you're like, oh no, I want to be in the middle of a mystery. I want this exciting thing to happen in my life. And then when Frank beats Jeffrey, when he drags him out of the car and beats him, he says to Jeffrey, "You're like me." And in a way, I can see what he's saying. Like, there is this obvious darkness, this option that Jeffrey could go in a very different direction, because he is attracted by the darkness that he's seeing. Sandy wants to steer clear of all of that, but Jeffrey has been sucked into this world, and I could see there being, you know, a multiverse in which Jeffrey just fucking joins in.
Yep. He likes it. He likes this. Even though he doesn't really understand it. But there's a scene after he gets home from being beaten where he just kind of breaks down, right? He just relives all of this stuff that happened. He's just breaking down, crying. And that includes like when she asked him to hit her. And he doesn't like that he had to do that. He doesn't like that he did that. So he's just kind of traumatized by all of this stuff, right? So what is the other side of him that's like doesn't want to be involved in that?
Yeah, and I thought that came from Frank saying to him, "You're like me." I think the bad guy saying to him, "You could be, hey, and he was like, "Oh shit!" And I think that's what sort of led him to finally sort of getting the pictures printed and taking them to the police. I think it was this multiverse's version of Jeffrey and the fear of what he could become.
We have another weird scene with Frank and his we have him abusing what's her name, and then that's when Jeffrey steps in and says, "Leave her alone," like when he's like really going too far, and everyone else is sitting around, just let him do it, no problem. But he says, "No, stop doing that, stop bothering her," and then he punches him in the face, and then that's he goes outside to beat him up, right? But at least he got one good punch in there. That was great when he got that punch in. And then he's like, "Feel my muscles," and he gets all weird again, and then they beat him up, and so then he goes home and cries, and heals very quickly, I'll say, because a couple days later, all those bruises were gone. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because you see him like going down for like breakfast with his mum and his aunt, and he just goes, "I don't want to talk about it."
I don't think anybody would let me get away with that. Well, you got to explain what happened here.
The aunt is like, But, and he's like, he says something that sounds like vaguely threatening. You know, I told you to quit it. Yeah, he's just sitting there all like mashed up face.
Yeah, by the
then,
time
you know,
Friday,
20
when Friday rolls around and he has to go meet Sandy on Friday, he looks fine. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
He looks fine for their Friday night date.
Yeah.
So we are now into, I think, the final section.
Yeah, moving right along.
Out of the ear canal. Jeffrey takes his photographs to the police station where he discovers dun 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 Josie the Pussycat style. He discovers that one of the detectives is working with Frank because that is the Yellow Jacket guy.
Gordon went right up to him in broad daylight, of course, because he's the man, right? And he took all those drugs away, and it was beautiful.
He shows the photos to Detective Williams at his home and later takes Sandy on a date, after which they are accosted by a naked Dorothy at Sandy's home. Jeffrey returns to the apartment where he finds Detective Gordon, Yellow Jacket guy, and Ben, both dead. Detective Gordon in a very interesting way. Frank arrives and Jeffrey shoots him with Gordon's gun. Later, Jeffrey's father is recovered and home, and Jeffrey and Sandy are still together, and their families are gathering together happily. And we see a happy little Robin eating a bug.
Nice little animatronic Robin there. There was no way they got a real Robin pose.
I read some weird shit about that Robin. Apparently, it was a real dead Robin. It was a real Robin carcass that some kids had found, and they'd taken it to their school or something. And then the school had said, like, "Hey, do you want to use this Robin?" And so they, like, you know, moved around a dead Robin.
Oh, that's weird.
I was never really sure of the time period of this film because, and I read something, and they're like, "Oh, it's a small town where." In the 80s that everyone dresses like it's the 50s and sort of acts like it's the 50s. And it does have that vibe around it because when they go and dance and snog a lot at the party, that song is very much not Blue Velvet or In Dreams. It is a very 80s vibe, that song. But one of my favorite classic film things happens in this segment of the film, which is when they're driving home from their date. They think they're being chased by Frank, and I absolutely thought they were being chased by Frank, and it turns out to be Mike because Sandy dumped him so that she could start dating Jeffrey, and Mike is upset about it. "You stole my woman! She is not your woman. Piss off." But anyway, they come flying around a corner really fast, and a hubcap rolls off.
I like that too. I noticed that as well. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have hubcaps. That doesn't happen anymore. It's really disappointing.
No. Yeah, that was a great moment for sure. And I love that we didn't hear anything about Mike. All we hear is like there's Mike, he's annoyed. Remember, he's at the football practice, he's annoyed that he's being picked up. She's like, "No, I'll deal with him later." But that's like all we're seeing is this story from these two people's perspective. We don't care about Mike until he shows up and becomes a part of the story. But I love that. Again, Lynch doesn't waste time with any of that stuff. Mike becomes important when he becomes important. That's when he shows up there and stops them, and he wants to beat up Jeffrey for stealing his girl.
Yeah. And that is when Dorothy appears, and she is naked and bruised, and Mike is immediately apologetic.
Yeah.
Like,
I
think he thinks it's his mum.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Dude, I had no idea. I'm so sorry." You know, it's a really, really funny moment. But the other thing I read about that particular scene when they were filming it, because they were filming it on location, the local people all went, "Hey, there's a film. They're filming. Let's all go and watch." And families were arriving with picnic blankets.
Oh, no.
And David Lynch said to them, "This probably isn't a scene you want to see." And Isabella Rossellini was walking around the locals eating their picnics going, "Please take your children home." and they were all invested, they'd all, some cost fallacy, they'd sat down, they'd spent their time, they'd spent their money making this picnic, they were going to sit there and enjoy the show, and she walks out naked and everyone goes, oh no. So then apparently after that they weren't allowed to film in that location anymore.
Of course.
If this is true, they did everything they could.
Yeah, including filming at night, which is like they could have had that be a closed set, right? They could have just anyway. That's interesting, but yeah, that was it's a disturbing moment. So I guess that she's escaped from Frank, I guess is what we're led to believe. And he has her dress. He later on, when Frank shows up, he's got her blue velvet dress that she wears the whole time. Because Frank loves blue velvet. We haven't really talked about that part of it where he gets all into the blue velvet and shoves it in his mouth or her mouth. I don't remember.
Both of their mouths. She's wearing the robe and he takes the tie and he puts one end of it in his mouth and one end of it in her mouth. And when you see him, I think at the show, he's stroking some blue velvet, and at other points he's always got some blue velvet on him and he sucks on it like it's a pacifier. Yeah, he has a real kink for blue velvet, and he also really enjoys the song. So one feeds into the other. We don't know.
Before it started, we don't know if it was the song that started it or the actual material, but either way, it worked.
It's a very chicken and egg situation, and we don't know which one came first.
So Jeffrey takes the photos to the police station, discovers that Yellow Jacket is working with Frank, doing what? We don't really know. I guess drugs is what it's supposed to be, but we don't really ever find out what it is.
No, we don't. we don't find that out, Dan, and it annoys.
Okay.
What was he doing there? Why is he in those photos? Why is he hanging out with Frank? There's a weird moment where him and the well-dressed man go and... Actually, we do know. Gordon gets him the good stuff. I'm lying. Detective Gordon is the person who gets the drugs from the drug raids and passes them on to Frank. That's what he's doing. So it is drug-related. Because there's that weird moment where he and the well-dressed man go and, like, they climb up a fire escape and they just start looking over and they're watching the police investigating a murder, and it's a drug dealer. And so, we eventually discover that Gordon is the inside man for Frank at the police who can get him his drugs. So that, do you know what? I take all of that shouting back. We do know why.
Glad they figured it out.
But we do discover as well later that he is Detective Williams' partner. And
right.
so I started
weird moment
thinking,
when they're okay, go ahead.
I started thinking when he then takes the things to, because we don't know this yet, when he takes the photographs to Detective Williams at his house, Detective Williams is like, I'll sort this out. And I'm like, what? What are you sorting out? Because we don't even know if you know that Frank exists. So this kid just comes in and goes, Frank is a bad man and your police detective is with him. And he's like, yeah, brilliant. We'll do a shootout at his house. Why? What's going on? But anyway, we then discover that Detective Gordon is Detective Williams' partner. And I was like, oh, he's not going to sort it. He's in on it.
Yeah, I thought he was in on it too. I'm like, as soon as whenever you take something to a cop and their first reaction is like, all right, I got this. You go ahead. You don't worry about it anymore. That's usually a sign that they're, I'm sorry. He is like basically, and you're done with this now? You're not going to do anything else? So he's like, yes, I'm done with it. Yes. Well, be prepared to be interrogated then. And then that's it. I mean, that's not it.
Who else knows you have these photos?
Just you in the photo lab?
And you're through with this business now?
Yes, sir, I am.
For now, all right, you better be. And Sandy better not be involved with this, I can tell you. Be prepared to come in for further interrogation on this later.
Yes, sir.
But I don't think he actually is. I think in the end, Detective Williams is not in on it. But he is like his partner is like clearly his partner, and maybe not. He didn't know about it. Whatever. That's never made clear. So then they take Dorothy and they wrap her up and they bring her back to they all go back to the Williams house to call an ambulance. And then what happens?
Well, that's when Sandy finds out that he's been sleeping with Dorothy.
Oh, yeah. Because they have this moment where, she clearly is into him but again, she's a very broken woman. So I wouldn't take everything she's doing at face value. She's obviously acting like they're way more involved than they really are. Right. But there's clearly something there. And that's when Sandy gets upset and then gets jealous.
He's clearly been having sex with her.
Yeah.
And if I was Sandy and he had been like courting me in a very gentlemanly manner, and I'd found out that then the reason he was able to do that is because he's getting his rocks off somewhere else, I would be mad as hell. And she is heartbroken. But immediately you then see her on the phone and he's like, can you forgive me? And she's like, I forgive you. because plot. So, we need to get to the end of this thing. So I will forgive you. And he goes to the fucking apartment.
Yes.
Like,
Why? I don't know.
For no reason. Like, it's very, 21-year-old doesn't think anything bad is ever going to happen to them, doesn't think they're going to die. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you doing this? And he turns up and Detective Gordon is standing. He's still standing. And his brain matter is outside of his skull.
Yeah.
And yet he is not on the floor. It's a very, very weird moment.
Yeah, and then well, who we learn is Ben, the person who's Don, is tied to a chair and has blue velvet stuck in his.
No, that is Ben, isn't it?
Is it Ben?
I thought it was Ben.
Well, maybe it was. I thought it was Don. It was his ear was cut off. Remember?
Yeah, I just thought they'd cut Ben's ear off. That is fascinating. Oh, I've had a look. That is so interesting because he had a sort of pale face. I thought he was wearing Ben's makeup.
Oh, yeah. I just thought it was we finally got to meet her husband.
That would make sense because I did spend the whole film and especially the end of it going, well, what the hell happened to Don? But there we go. Let me see what they say in the plot.
I did not think that Detective Williams was
yes.
Oh, sorry.
He discovers Don dead. I had
it's not, the pose, it's really weird. He's kind of got this weird pose. His mouth's open because it has a piece of blue velvet stuck in it. But the other thing is that I don't know that guy's dead yet. Like, I think he's just standing there because he's brain dead, but he's still alive. And because there's a part where there's a noise and he jumps, like there's a reaction, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're brain dead, you're not alive, so there must be some brain functioning.
But he's like technically still breathing, and then the moment later on, Frank shoots him, and then he goes down or whatever. But I think that until then, he is actually technically still breathing. And it was so weird. He's just standing like, and the blood's coming out of his mouth, and there's blood all over him, and there's a piece of brain sticking out, and the TV's smashed. Like, what happened here? Like, you look at this room going, what is going on here? Clearly, it was Frank. The blue velvet gives it away. But yeah, it's just like, and it's into.
And then, like, the well-dressed man arrives. I had no inkling when we first saw the well-dressed man that was Frank in disguise. And so even when we saw him, and he says, oh, he's here, he's described as the well-dressed man. I thought it meant like, oh, that guy, the well-dressed, he's in disguise as the other guy that we met earlier, the well-dressed man. But I think is it when they go and view the murder? Is that also Frank? I didn't really understand. You can tell now, I'm lost. But he's very smart, Jeffrey, because he remembers that Frank has a police radio in his car.
Yes. And there's also a radio on the cop who's standing there, brain dead.
Yeah. So he goes into the bedroom and says, I'm hiding in the bedroom. And he's talking to the cops. I'm hiding in the bedroom, he says to Detective Williams. Come and get me. And then he puts the stereo, like the walkie-talkie, under the bed and goes and hides in his favorite little nook and cranny, the wardrobe.
Yes.
And so Frank comes bursting in and he's all like, you idiot, as he's ripping off a fake moustache. Like, why is he why is he dressed up as somebody else? Like, what was he doing that he had to leave in the middle and go, sorry, I've got to go and kill a kid, you know? And he comes in, he's ripping off fake eyebrows or whatever he's doing. He's like, you're an idiot. I've got a fucking walkie-talkie too. I've got a radio, you dumbass. And he's like going into and then he gets really mad because he's not in there and he realizes he's been conned. And in the meantime, Jeffrey has taken Detective Gordon's gun and he shoots him through the wardrobe door.
Yeah. But he doesn't he open it and then gets
does he? Yeah.
I think he opens it up and as soon as boom. And just as Detective Williams is coming in and Sandy, like they're just coming up to help him, and he shoots them As basically they watch him shoot him.
And who comes in first? Sandy. And then her detective father with a gun. Why is he letting his 17, 18-year-old daughter get ahead of him on those fucking stairs?
Yeah, I don't know if she's just faster, I guess. Yeah.
And then they like snog in the hallway. And then we get the shot of coming out of the ear canal, and it's Jeffrey's ear. And he's like lounging on a sun lounger and having a lovely time in his garden. And all the women are in the house. And all the men are outside, and and then Sandy sees the robin, and she gets all excited because earlier she was telling him about this dream she'd had about how the world was really sad because all the robins had gone away because the robins are love. So we see the robin, and everybody is happy, and and it was weird.
What happens to Dorothy?
Oh, we see her being reunited with her son.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It took me a minute to remember that. Yes. Thank God there really was a Donnie. There wasn't. I was like, what was the point of any of this? But yeah, we see him. She's just happy with her son. And I assume that she doesn't care that her husband's dead, but her son is still alive. That's what matters.
I can't believe I didn't know that was Don, except for the fact that I can absolutely believe I didn't know that was Don, because why would I?
It's not very clear. It's clear, right? That's the point.
Why would I know that was Don? And the other thing that I forgot to mention is Frank has this thing about saying now it's dark. He likes putting the lights out and stuff and going, now it's dark. And after he dies, the lamp falls over and the lights smash and it goes dark. And I was like, nice. I like that. That's nice. Good. I like it.
Yeah.
But the into the ear canal and the out of the ear canal is because you're going into this really dark world of like mind-bending stuff. You're like living in someone's horrible nightmare, and then you come out into, and they do that thing, you said films often start and finish with the same stuff, and it does it here. You see the exact same shots that we saw at the beginning, the roses growing against the white picket fence, and I was excited because we saw a fire truck, so I was thinking back to Backdraft, the earlier one when Kurt Russell was playing his dad, and they're standing on the outside of the fire truck and they have an actual Dalmatian there, and he's like waving, and then you see these tulips growing, and it's all vibrant and beautiful and very oh god, who's the guy? Edward Scissorhands. It gave me a sort of Edward Scissorhands vibe.
That's right. And I'm sure like that's like suburbia to Lynch, right? That's what suburbia is. It's all these things that we've created to make life nice for us, I guess.
Yeah. But really, if you just look really carefully inside someone's brain, some really fucked up shit is happening.
What do they say? It's a strange world?
Yes.
It's a strange world.
Yeah, and it is, especially if you're in a David Lynch film.
Look.
Yeah, I saw him outside. Maybe robins are here.
I don't see how they could do that. I could never eat a bug.
It's a strange world, isn't it?
What did you give it for a letterbox rating?
I gave it a 2.5.
Okay.
Because there are times when I'm watching it and I'm like, this is a 1 and I hate it. But I can understand like what's technically good about it. It's one of those films that, although I don't enjoy it, I can see, and there are brief moments that I go, this is lovely, I can get my teeth into this. But yeah, I just don't care about anyone, so that's a problem for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I give it a 3.5. I think that it's not my favorite David Lynch film. I actually don't know what my favorite David Lynch film is. It's Twin Peaks is what it is, but that's not a film. So that's like, it's a series, right? But I like that this made me think of Twin Peaks. I like that I can see the roots of Twin Peaks in this. I love MacLachlan. All the actors in this were really, really good. Even though Dennis Hopper is out of hand, he's still very like intense, and that's all he's going for is just raw intensity of whatever he's trying to do, right? So I like that as well. So yeah, 3.5. I think it's pretty good.
Very good.
Yeah.
And now we get to the very interesting part. Normally I come in here and I'm like, and we're going to watch this film next. I have a list of about 9 films.
Oh.
Because this has a very interesting cast. And it sort of spans an interest. Like, we could go way back. Like, we could watch stuff that happened in 1949 from this cast. Or we could watch, like, Marriage Story. Or, like, Conclave, which happened, like, last year. So I am a big fan of Little Women films. And I have not seen the Greta Gerwig one.
Oh.
Have you seen it? Because I want to pick something that you haven't seen.
Oh, I've seen that one twice.
Okay.
Who's the connection? Who's the connection to that one?
Laura Dern.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The Dean Stockwell is in a load of very interesting things. He's in Paris, Texas, The Player, and Day's Journey into Night with Katharine Hepburn. Very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Isabella Rossellini, I haven't seen Conclave, and she is also in Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which I haven't seen. And then Brad Dourif is in 2 that I'm interested in. Ragtime from 1981, the year I was born, because I know the musical, and Murder in the First.
Oh, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Which is later. I mean, I saw that, but it was a long time ago. It's been very, it's been decades since I've seen that film.
Yeah. So I thought maybe you could think about where you wanted to go. Like, if you want to stay modern, if you want to take us somewhere modern again, then, you know, go to Conclave or Marcel, or, you know, one of those.
You want a movie that I haven't seen? I've seen Conclave. Okay. I've not seen Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, so we could watch that if you wanted to. Which one do you really want to watch?
Oh, let's watch Marcel. It's very different. It's like 90 minutes, so that's lovely.
There you go.
And I've heard really good things about it, and I have no idea where we could go from there, because I have no idea who else is in it.
I'm sure we'll find something, right? That's the kind of the cool thing about this, is that no matter where we go, we can always find a nice thread. And I think it'll be really interesting to look back at, like, the chain of films we've created here, as far as, like, off of a Blue Velvet, we're going to Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. That's kind of crazy. What's the tie-in for that one? Who's in that one? Is it also Laura Dern?
It's Isabella Rossellini.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, that's right. You said that. Cool. Yeah, she's great. I love her. She's amazing.
Well, the only thing I know her from really is Death Becomes Her.
Oh, okay. Well, she was in she's got a bit of a local connection for me. There's a local Winnipeg filmmaker named Guy Madden. Have you ever heard of Guy Madden?
I think so.
He's fairly well known in Hollywood circles, but he's very avant-garde. He's very much a Lynch kind of guy. Like, he goes weirder than Lynch. So he made a number of different movies here in Winnipeg over the years, and one's called Twilight of the Ice Nymphs that he did with her, and it's very good. But it's weird. It's very weird, and I don't think it would be yours.
That sounds like exactly the kind of film that Isabella Rossellini should be in.
Yeah. But it's anyway, she's great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It'll be fun.
It will be very different for us.
Yes.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it being very not Lynchian.
Well, thank you for watching Blue Velvet with me. I finally ticked it off. Like, again, I'd never watched it. It's been so long, and I'm like, I gotta there's a couple more Lynch films that I have to see. That one, Inland Empire, that you mentioned, I still haven't seen that one. And Lost Highway I haven't seen. The Elephant Man I haven't seen. So there's a couple more that I'll get to.
I think the ones I would like to see if I was going to, like, watch some more Lynch is The Elephant Man and The Straight Story.
Oh, that was a great one. I really enjoyed that one because it's his most normal movie. It really is.
I feel like there's plot there.
It is. Yeah.
There's
a reason why he called it The Straight Story. It's because that is what it is for him. Like, he doesn't do anything else except tell a story in that. So anyway, that's gonna do it for another episode of Transatlantic Watch Party. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, keep watching movies.